Evening, friends. Nice of you to join me. I'm Amy, and from Amy's Got Life Coaching, I really want to welcome you to tonight's live. Thank you so much for those of you who are signing in, or if you're watching the replay. So tonight's topic, I'm going to be talking a little bit about, I'm going to pick up where I left off last week. So last week we talked about feelings and all the different things about feelings. So many things, so many things. I rewatched it. It's sort of a masterclass. So let me just say, if you have a chance to watch the replay, you may want to catch it and bring a notebook, because it's just chock full of such amazing information. You're going to really love it, and it's going to be really helpful with the information that I'm giving you tonight too. So tonight's topic is the secret sauce about how you're going to get unstuck. This is one of those things I've talked before about weight loss tools and mindset tools. Tonight we're talking about a mindset tool that, even though I used to lose my 80 pounds, for those of you who don't know, I'm Amy. I'm 59 years old and lost 80 pounds with the help of a life coach, and have kept it off for the last 3 years, which is pretty remarkable. So one of the things that I love to think about is I did use quite a few mindset tools to start with, weight loss tools to start with, and then how I know I won't gain my weight back is because of these mindset tools, because they sort of got to get under the surface a little bit. So this is going to be a bit of a deep dive, but you guys can handle it. And it's just going to be the secret sauce in getting you guys some leverage and wiggling you out of some of that being stuck and not getting any movement in your weight loss progress. For those of you who don't know me, like I said, I'm Amy. I'm also a life and mindset and weight loss coach. I work one-on-one with clients, so we work a lot with this type of topic. I'm available for consultations if you'd like to chat. I'd love to see if I'm the right fit for you. So tonight's topic is about a thing called buffering. So let's dive in. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I've got some notes here. And one of the things that I want to go over today is what is buffering, kind of like the definition of it. Why does it matter? What does it do? What's the problem with it? Why is it an issue with weight loss? And what to do about it. So pretty much very simple. So since today we're talking about one of the ways that we react to a feeling. So we talked last week, I have my little notes with me. React is when you had, like the example was the car accident, like somebody cuts you off in traffic and you're like, "Ugh." That's a reaction. Sometimes the resisting, and when we resist a feeling, an emotion is a one-word emotion or one-word vibration in our body. Resisting was that beach ball under the water. We try to push it away, pretend it's not, we hold it down. We don't want it to get in the way. We think there's something, you don't want to feel it. And then avoiding is what we're talking about today. Avoiding is batting it away, thinking that it's just pretending it's not there. Like, I can't see you if you're not there, right? So when we're talking about avoiding a feeling, why does it matter if we avoid a feeling? Well, I'll tell you why. That anytime we're trying to avoid a feeling with an action, with some type of activity, that activity is called buffering. So I looked at buffering in the dictionary, and what buffering means cushion. It's like to cushion or to cushion the blow kind of a thing. So this makes sense, right? We want to cushion the blow because if you're having like a risky or potentially scary feeling, you don't want to feel it, so you just try to find a way to avoid it by cushioning that blow. So likely we're telling ourselves that it's going to be really hard, or it's going to be too painful, or it's going to be too scary to actually feel the feeling. So I don't know if any of you are live, but if there is someone that could just jump in on the comments and say, what do you do when you are trying to avoid a feeling? Is there anything that comes to your mind when you're thinking, I don't know that I'm trying to avoid a feeling? Like we don't have a lot of language for this, but maybe there's something I do typically to avoid a feeling, a negative emotion. So for some of us, it might be numbing out in front of Netflix. A lot of times we don't even realize that's what we're doing. We just are like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overworked, I just want to chill. But really what's happening is we're trying to avoid any uncomfortable feeling, and we don't I'm not saying what that is necessarily, but it's usually that's what's going on. Especially if it's like show after show after show. For others, it may be over drinking. For some, it's over scrolling. For example, whenever I get a little bored when I'm doing I should be doing some work and I don't feel like it, I grab my phone and next thing you know, I look up and it's 30 minutes later. I used to have TikTok. That was like a 4-hour scroll. Let me just say, I got rid of that really quick because I can't control myself around TikTok, clearly. So the other thing I use to avoid emotions, or strong emotions, or sad emotions, is to eat. And I tell myself, I'm going to feel so much better once I get this hit of pleasure. And some of that dopamine will get your mind off of it and get your mind off that feeling, but it's temporary. And here's where it matters for weight loss. Because those of us who buffer with food to try to avoid a feeling end up overeating. And we feel that pleasure. It's an initial hit of like, yes, relief. A lot of times it's relief. Like I genuinely feel relief as a result of overeating. But that reward, that immediate relief is usually just temporary. It's very often followed up by disappointment or shame or the same feeling that is there is still there, right? So let me just offer that this is normal, and here's why. I'll tell you. Okay. I don't know if you remember this from a couple weeks ago, that this is the motivational triad. This is what our habit brain does. It's in the back of our brain. It tries to avoid pain at all costs, seek pleasure at all costs, and conserve energy. Does that sound like something maybe buffering has something to do with? Interesting. So when we're trying to avoid that pain of the potentially scary or dangerous thought, we seek pleasure and in the way of some type of buffer. And let me just offer that it's not necessarily the actual action that we take, it's really why we're taking it. So, for example, eating food, of course, is fine. It's only when it turns into eating and overeating and you're not getting any relief. So, initially, you might not notice the consequence at all, and you might think, I got away from it. It's not a big deal. And who in the world hasn't ever seen a breakup movie or a scene in a movie where there was a breakup? And what is the woman doing? She's face down in ice cream. I'm thinking like Bridget Jones or Sleepless in Seattle with Meg Ryan, or even Elle in Legally Blonde was like eating the chocolates after the breakup or whatever. And I think especially as women, we're taught to just kind of chill. It's uncomfortable. It makes people really uncomfortable to be sad or to feel an emotion or to feel something deeply. So we try to cushion that blow. And here's the question I have. Why do we try to cushion that blow? Why can't we just feel the sadness? Another movie reference is there's no crying in baseball. Remember Tom Hanks and whoever the girl was? She's like, there's no crying in baseball. Well, okay, why? Why can't there be crying in baseball? Who cares, right? She was sad. So here's the thing. Because he yelled at her, did she stop being sad? I don't think so. So let me just say, what happens is the feeling doesn't ever go away. We temporarily put it on hold. We temporarily get a relief from it, but the feeling is still there. It's almost as if you had a really messy room with lots of junk all around and you didn't want to see it, so you just turned off the light. You don't see it, not a problem, until you turn the light on again, and then it's still there, right? So that feeling is still there, but then what happens is, because you're overeating, over-scrolling, over-eating of some sort, there's a whole new set of problems. So you've got the self-loathing, you've got some extra weight, you've got some uncomfortable feeling in your stomach. Just because you were afraid, you're avoiding that pain, you might have been temporarily, and it would have been a little uncomfortable to have to face that negative, strong emotion. So that's just something I want you to think about. So, the way we know it's a buffer versus if it's just eating food or just having a nice drink, because there's nothing wrong with any of these actions unless, and here's how you're going to know, and I'll tell you. When the food doesn't satisfy. So you'll get so first I should say this. you have an urgent feeling for a type of food. Often for me, it's some type of sweet food and high fat food. That's how I roll when I'm buffering. So it's usually a very specific type of food. Number two, it's usually the food does not satisfy. I'll eat and eat and eat. Like I've been known, ask my sister to eat a whole thing of Oreos one time. And it didn't seem to satisfy. That's because the food can't satisfy a feeling. So it was an emotional eat versus a physical hunger eat. So it won't satisfy. So that's another way you'll know. That's like 2 strikes, right? The third way we'll know if it's a buffering choice versus just a regular choice to eat is there's a net negative result for you. So, for example, when you're sad, so you eat ice cream. The ice cream doesn't satisfy, so you probably overeat it. So then you have a feeling of fullness in your stomach. You have a little weight gain and bloating, and you're feeling terrible. Then you have your mindset, what you tell in your mind, like, I didn't want to show up this way. There's some self-loathing. There's some disappointment. And guess what? The feeling still doesn't go away. So you're not taking care of anything anyway. So it's like there's no plus side to this. We think there is because that initial dopamine hit, but it's actually a lie. Very interesting. So when we cushion that blow, you're thinking it's as if to say, like, I can't feel this right now. I can't see you. I can't see it. But it's actually wrong. And so there's the question. What is so wrong about feeling not great sometimes? I think very often we are under the impression that we're not supposed to ever feel bad or sad or lonely or disappointed or frustrated. And so because we have this ideal of that life should always be like roses, and we don't very often, because I believe that life is 50-50. I believe that we have the good stuff and the bad stuff. And to have a full human experience is to have both. But when we tell ourselves we shouldn't have the bad stuff, then we think something has gone terribly wrong. And that leaves us feeling like we need to fix it right away with typically food or some sort of buffering. So that could just be the answer right there, right? Stop thinking that you're supposed to feel amazing all the time. Allow those negative feelings, experience them, feel them in your body. I went through a very specific exercise last week. So if you want to look through that again, that's something I work with my clients with all the time. Allow those negative feelings, experience them, and then guess what? You can move on, and you're not eating for an emotional reason. I will just say this. I notice that there's a big difference that when I'm eating, when my nervous system is calm, when I'm not seeking pleasure, immediate hit of gratification, or I'm not trying to avoid a feeling, I don't have a desire for food very often. Sometimes I don't have a problem listening to my hunger signals. I don't have a problem waiting till I'm physically hungry. I don't have a problem stopping and eating enough, because my nervous system is in tune with, is settled and where it should be. Even if I'm feeling sad, let me just say this, I have felt sad and processed that emotion and not needed to overeat. And so that's the secret sauce, and that's how I know that though I've lost the 80 pounds, I will not gain it back, because I understand the reason why I was eating in the first place. Got it? So fun. So I'm just going to give you a recap that buffering is a way of cushioning your feeling. It's temporary. It causes a net negative result. And also just to remind yourself, life is 50-50, and we don't need to feel great all the time. And that telling ourselves that we need to feel great all the time is actually the real problem. So there you go, the little tip for the day. So next week I'm going to be talking about some vacation hacks. I'm heading to Virginia, to Smith Mountain Lake, Virginia with my family. It'll be so fun. And so I'm going to be sharing some of those, hopefully live next week, but definitely with some other talks. If you are interested in coaching, I would love to work with you. I work one-on-one with clients. I love working with ladies who are feeling stuck, who, especially if you're over 50 and you're feeling like, too bad, there's no chance for you. Well, let me just tell you, that's a lie. I lost all my weight after the age of 54, 55. That's when I was doing this work, and it is possible. I also have Hashimoto's thyroid disease. So that's also was an excuse that I had used for many, many years. And I really love working with people, especially who have been overweight their entire life. It doesn't have to, that's not a requirement or anything, but that was my story. I literally was 30 to 80 pounds heavier since probably I was 16. I just dealt with this my whole entire life. And I just want to let you know, there is hope. And I'd love to work with you. So have a wonderful week, everyone. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.